Hi everyone, this is Vivian. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I store my pen holders and nibs, and also just some tips on cleaning and sharpening your nibs, specifically for broad edge nibs. Previously, I made several videos for broad edge calligraphy. In those videos, I mentioned how to choose your pens and how to prep your nibs, and also how to construct guidelines, and then lastly I also show you how to construct the basic italic alphabets. So this is how I store my pens. I have this craft box. It comes with these dividers that I can divide them differently however I want. So I have this bigger compartment with all my pen holders without the nibs on them, and then smaller one for nibs. I have one place for the pointed nibs, so the nibs like this one. And I also just divide the broad edge nibs into medium, small, and extra small. So these are the medium one, and then the small are typically what I use the most. So I have more nibs in here. So these are the small. And then some of the extra fine ones. So these are very small, for some very small letters. And then also another place for tools. And I also just cut off some old t-shirts and then put it on the bottom of the box. So that way they're less likely to bang around each other and get damaged. If I'm traveling and I want to take my pens, this is what I would do. I would use a pen pouch to carry all the pen holders. So this will be my pen holders. And I have this smaller tin for traveling. You can buy small tin boxes specifically for nibs, but they're just tin boxes. This used to be a lip balm, so I just clean it up and I line the inside with craft foam. I got this then in like dollar stores. It also is sticky backed, so it's sticky, so I can just cut it out to the size of my tin, and then I just line the inside with this. That way, if I'm traveling, if they are shaken up a little bit, it won't be damaging the nibs. And also one thing worth mentioning is this pen holder called Moblique. It comes with this compartment inside that you can put one or two nibs in here. So in this case, you don't even need to have a separate tin box for your nibs. You can just carry this and you're good to go. As far as ink concerned, depending on what ink you're using, I usually use Eternal ink if I'm traveling with this. I'll definitely use electrical tape to tape it around the bottle and then put it in a Ziploc bag. And definitely you don't want to have ink in your luggage in the check-in because it might explode, so take it with you on the plane. So make sure it's under 3 ounces. Now moving on to cleaning your nibs, if you're just using Eternal inks or calligraphy ink, regular practice ink, you can probably just rinse it off with water and then make sure you dry it. And if you want to be extra thorough, you can just use a little bit of soap, just tiny bit of soap. Drop your nibs in the soapy water for a little bit, and then you can fish it out after 10 minutes. Make sure you don't leave it there for too long because then it will get rusty. So the important thing is to dry it thoroughly after you clean it. And if after a while you think your nib is getting too dirty and gunky, you can use an old brush. Make sure it's an old, really soft one that's already been used. You don't want a harsh new brush. An old brush, and then you can brush off some of the ink or gunk. Even though they might look a little dirty or not as shiny as new one, they still rise fine. So I won't worry too much about the appearance. When you are washing or cleaning your nibs, make sure you remove it from the pen holder. If you're just washing or rinsing the nibs while it's in the holder, first, your holder is gonna get rusty. And then second, you won't be able to dry the water inside. And then both the nib and the holder is going to get rusty. And then you're gonna have trouble, taking out the nibs. So make sure you remove the nibs when you're cleaning it. Now let's moving on to sharpening the nibs. If you're just using brows nibs, there's really not much you need to do. Whenever I buy them, I can pretty much start writing after I prepping them. And they last for a long time. But for the midshells, you most likely will need to adjust the reservoir that's going to the back of this nib, which I showed you in the nib prepping video. If you feel like you have trouble creating a straight fine line, most likely is the problem is with the reservoir. You need to adjust it so it's not creating too much force on your pen. And sometimes you might accidentally damage the nib tip, or you have been using it for a long time, or you have been writing on really rough surfaces that the tip is not really producing a fine hairline. No, not that kind of hairline. then you can do something to sharpening. So I'm going to show you how to do just that. So you can buy a sharpening stone, or I am actually just going to use a piece of sandpaper. Sharpening stone is a little hard to find, and sandpaper you can just buy in hardware store. So you will need a piece of fine sandpaper. This one I have is 5 mil, so it's 5,000. I would say 1,000 is fine. Just make sure you are not using the regular, 400 or 200. Those are way too rough. So you want really fine sanding paper, and you don't need much. So I just have this tiny piece. And also it'll be helpful if you have a magnifying glass. And what you need to do is to have your sandpaper on a very sturdy surface. So either you tape this on the block of wood, or what I'm going to do is to tape it on my desk. And also make sure the reservoir is not on the pen, so get out of here. So what we're going to do is to take off a little bit of the top edge. Have your nib inside the pen holder, because this way we can control it and hold it more steadily. We're going to flip it over so the back side is facing up, and then have it maybe around like a pretty acute angle, like a 15 or 20 degree, because we don't want a really harsh turn. We want it to be a smooth transition from the original profile, slowly thinning out. So we're going to slide it across the sanding surface. Do it very gently, steadily, slowly across the surface for maybe 5 times. And then you want to check you filed it evenly. So if you look at the top view of your pen, whatever you filed off is going to be shinier, and you want to see that shiny line. It's a even line. You don't want it to be an uneven, because that means you're not applying the force evenly, so you will have to adjust it. If this is what you're getting, then continue, do it another 5 times. And if you got this, then try to correct it the next 5 times. So what I'm doing here is I actually used my middle finger as a guard to maintaining the same angle, and I'm just going to run it across. And then let's check. It's like very hard to see. Do you see that a little bit shiny line? I'm going to do it a couple more times. Okay, but now that we have created a little bird on the back, so we want to just file it, clean up the bird on the side. So to remove the bird, we're going to flip the pen so the top is facing up, and this time it's going to be a little more straight, and we're just going to do this like twice. That's it, or even once is enough. You're not really applying any pressure, you're just running it to smooth out the surface. Okay, and then you might want to do on the side as well. So what I would do is just, you can do it just running it like that, once on each side. You can feel it, run it with your nail to see if your nail catches anything, but this is pretty good. And then the one last thing, I would dip the pen in the ink just a little bit, and then I'll write circles. Just do this. This is just really too smooth, whatever we just damaged. And because there's liquid, there's the ink, it's going to be very, very gentle. So that's it. And if this video is helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribe. I hope to see you next time. Bye!